Well, hello, ladies. Today we're going to be talking about entrepreneurs and specifically entrepreneur women. And we're going to be starting a wonderful, inspiring, and motivational series where we introduce you and interview strong women who've actually manifested their dreams and how they pushed through all the years, all the hard work, and they made it happen. My name's Debi with Dear to Be Curious, and I'm here with my co-host,
Sherrill. And the first woman that we're introducing you to is one of my favorites in Chicago, Kathryn. She has created a wonderful restaurant. She's created other wonderful restaurants, but Marchesa is her dream restaurant. And how she took a shell of a building and created this wonderful destination, and there's so many components of that destination, and what drove her to continue dreaming and continuing to make things happen, regardless of the roadblocks in her way, is truly inspirational. And she's going to help all of us, and she's actually helped both of us just listening to her and interviewing her and knowing her as a friend. She's been an inspiration to follow our dreams and to make it happen. And we feel that she'll do the same for all of you. So please stay tuned for a really, really inspiring Dare to Be Curious video.
Very insightful.
Cheers. We'll see you in a few minutes. Oh, and the blog too, which gives you even more of the story. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Hello, thank you for joining us on Dare to Be Curious. Today we're going to be talking about women supporting women and women entrepreneurs and making your dreams come true and manifesting those, making them into reality. My name's Debi and I'm here with
Sherrill. And I am so excited that you're all with us today at Dare to Be Curious, because I'm going to introduce you to one of the most exciting women in Chicago, who has created such wonderful space here at Marchesa. I could live here. You'd have to put in a bathtub for me, but I could live here.
Filled with champagne, no
Yeah,
less.
no, not all my secrets. But this is Kathryn Sullivan O'Hara. And please, Kathryn, tell us how you came up with this fabulous conception of this space. I mean, the dining room is wonderful. The upstairs private room is wonderful. The champagne cave is fabulous.
Thank you.
So what is your vision?
You know, this will be my fourth business venture that I opened up. And the first rule for me is always to create an environment that I feel comfortable coming to work to every day. Because when you own a restaurant, you spend a lot of time at the restaurant with guests, helping people plan weddings and dinners and parties. And so that's one of my overriding principles, is that it has to be somewhere that I feel is aesthetically pleasing, and then create a work culture so that everyone, works here and has different goals and things going on in their life. Some of them travel, some of them are modeling and acting, and you create an environment for artists to feel comfortable. But the genesis of the Marchesa project was really this building, which was built before the Chicago fire. And in the 1920s, an Italian family called the Bertini family put the facade on this building, and you probably haven't shot the outside of it, but it has an immense limestone facade. It's copied from a building in Lucca in Tuscany in Italy. And so I drove by it for years, and after several attempts to put something in here, and right before I was about to sign a lease elsewhere, the broker got back in touch with me and said, hey, there's a new building owner and he loves your concept. Do you want to come back and talk to these new owners? And it was literally within hours of, it would have been too late. And so, of course, I came running over. I took the first selfie of myself in this era. This was like 2015, perhaps. And so it was late for the selfie era, but there's a picture of me looking with the completely empty, derelict, falling down space. And I look at it now and I realize I had a touch of lunacy as well as an artistic vision, because it really was a daunting project. And so we had to draw up an architectural plan for every floor. So we have the cave, the main dining room with our chef's table, the second floor private dining room, and then we even have the third floor, which is an apartment that we utilize, and we also allow others to rent, Airbnb, I guess, is a good place for people to go. But so, it really was walls and nothing else. We had to put in new electricity and plumbing and steel beams to hold it up. So throughout the process, it was very tenuous. I mean, it seemed as if it would never all come together because there were just a series of challenges. There was a series of challenges that didn't seem to be known, and then the next day there was another hurdle and a hoop. But after about a year and a half, we collected the money, we put the concept together, we did the decor, we painted everything, grandmother's plates and, my aunt's sculptures, and my mom and dad donated things from their collection and things that me and my partner in doing this at the time, a gentleman named Jason Clark, helped pull it all together. So we did it, and now it's open. And sometimes I look back at that era and I wonder, where did I get the push to keep doing that? But to keep going, because we wanted our guests to love it as much as you do, and you do, and that women and men and corporate events and wedding events, people seem to feel comfortable here for different reasons. And having so many square feet, it really is rewarding, So I'd have to say that at the end of the whole process, almost year 4, December 1st will be our 4th year in business. We're just very grateful, and we're just happy that people have responded to it as well as we hoped, while we were, spending umpteen hours a day trying to get every detail just the way we envisioned it, yeah.
That's amazing. I just love how your story is like spontaneous. I mean, at that moment, the building came in.
Yes,
and
really
your
did.
perseverance, how you went through all these hurdles,
Yes.
and then how you incorporated your family background into this.
Yes.
When you first thought of the idea, when it was just like the green pea, just that
Yes.
little spark, how did you turn that passion into a flame to carry you through?
I originally was going to do a Marchesa wine bar, and it was going to be down the street of this space we were about to sign the lease on. And then when we were allowed to have this larger space, I just happened to have a trip to Italy planned. And so I was in Venice. So many great ideas come to you when you're traveling in Europe.
Right.
And we had decided on the name Marchesa, but we didn't realize that there was this particular famous Marchesa. So I went to the Peggy Guggenheim Museum on the Grand Canal, and it's in her former villa. And I took some photos. It's a very gallery space, so although it's magnificent, she dated, I guess, at the time, Jackson Pollock. So there's a lot of beautiful paintings in the Peggy Guggenheim Museum. And I didn't realize that this famous woman, Marchesa Luisa Casati, had lived in the Peggy Guggenheim building before Peggy Guggenheim owned the building. So she died in about the 1950s, Marchesa Casati. So she was from Milan, an heiress, lived around the world, and her motto was, I want to be a living work of art. Wow. So she was, in the early 1900s, one of the it girls of Europe. I mean, she was one of the wealthiest women. Her parents had passed away and left her and her sister a large fortune. And she went around and she was contemporary with Coco Chanel, Pablo Picasso. She was wearing Paul Poiret and Mariano Fortuny clothing. And so if you Google her, you find out that her life story is a fascinating read and has inspired people like Karl Lagerfeld did collections based on her, Tom Ford, Galliano. A lot of contemporary designers use her as a reference point, and there are more pictures of her. She was very narcissistic. She had everyone that she knew paint pictures of her. There's portraits. We have one in the front entrance of the restaurant, and that was her as a debutante. It was kind of a scandalous picture. It's about more than 100 years old, and she's wearing something that looks like peacock feathers. And some people of the day thought it looked like crumpled bed sheets, which in the early 1900s was not a look that was well received around the world. But she was really daring and threw the best parties. I mean, that's really once we found out more about her and we were naming the place Marchesa, I felt inspired at the Guggenheim Museum, which was her original home, and we did some more research. We tried to incorporate some of those things. She lived in Paris, she lived in London, she lived in various places in Italy, and Venice, of course. So we just tried to have a European outlook. So people feel this is, must have been an old room in this old building, but it was just studs. It had just really, when we took it over. So we added the age look. You know, we added the panel moldings, we added stencils, and we added all of these crown moldings and everything you see in here. And each floor, the main floor is a little bit more like that Guggenheim Museum, so it's kind of sparsely decorated, and the paintings are all of the era of 1920s and 1930s, kind of Picasso prints and such. And then there's the painting of her, and then there's a beautiful portrait by an artist named Juan Gris, kind of a cubist almost. And his wife was a contemporary of Marchesa, so we have them facing each other, two strong women who we're memorializing here, you know. And you know, we've had Coco Chanel cocktails on the menu, and we just love the idea of all of these avant-garde women. You know, in the early part of the 1900s, probably the suffragettes would fit into that.
Absolutely.
You know, women that were looking for the vote, and they were looking to work and ride cars and just kind of break out of the mold, kind of like a Downton Abbey. If you're a fan of the show, and the one daughter starts to wear like trousers, you know, that was like, oh my goodness, trousers.
They were shocked.
They were shocked, and so we love the idea of kind of giving that idea, you know, life, and then having each of these rooms inspire people for a different reason. You know, and each piece in the room we've picked out, and there's a story behind it, and that seems to appeal to people as well.
Oh, it's so appealing. As I said, all you'd have to do is put a bathtub in here.
Anytime. We have that upstairs. Not that
That's right.
Not that you need a hideaway, but you
Thank
always
you.
have one here, Cheryl.
I know, honey. Thank you. So go ahead.
Well, I just love how it's, you know, we always talk about women supporting women, and how you could also do some research and have a woman from the past
Yes.
inspire you and transform your energy and create and manifest something different.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's not just women supporting women who you're surrounding yourself with, but women from the past in their history and their portraits.
Yes.
I think this is a beautiful manifestation of that.
Yes, thank you so much. We did an event a couple of years ago with Nina Ivan, you know, formerly from Saks Fifth Avenue. Everybody loves Nina Ivan and knows her so well here in Chicago. And she curated a slide presentation for Chicago Ideas Week, I think it was. And we helped her. She knew a lot about Marchesa, but we had some favorite portraits and pictures. And so we had to do some more research, but everyone was just fascinated that they had never heard about her. And I always say, if you Google her, there's an archive of her life maintained by a couple of gentlemen who've written some books about her, which we sell in our little gift shop. And it's just fascinating. I mean, you can't imagine how many wonderful women entrepreneurs and icons there are. So I would say for anyone looking to open up a business, it's a great place to start. You know, do some research on things that are important to you and see where they, you know, cross paths with someone in the past that's done something wonderful. You know, Amelia Earhart, or you know, the Roosevelt girls. I mean, there's so many fascinating women from that era. Or
I love
Steiner.
I love reading biographies because it's wow.
Right.
Look what she did, and look at the time in which she did that.
Exactly.
And as women that want to be entrepreneurs, what would be the one thing that you would say to them? And then we want to know, because this was kismet that this building became available
For sure.
just at that moment, and I believe in kismet. So tell us what advice you would give to our viewers, and what is the one line that we could put over our desk or over our kitchen sinks or over our typewriters. Oh
Yes.
God, not typewriters, ladies. I'm sorry, I meant the
Computers.
computer. I do have an old typewriter that I think I wrote my first
Our
story on.
I love an IBM Selectric. I mean, there's nothing better than that
So much
clickety
fun.
clack.
That's where we
Yeah.
learned,
So tell
right?
us, what is the advice you would give to other women who want to follow their dreams, and what is the one line that you live by and you have in your office?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think what I would suggest is, first of all, you have to put your ideas down. So you have to spend time with whether you have an IBM Selectric or a touch screen, whatever. You have to be able to articulate your visions and do research. And I started out, my first concept was a champagne bar called Narcisse. And I don't even think the internet was that busy then. I don't think Al Gore had invented it yet. So this was like late 1990s. But we did a lot of research in books and magazines. And I used to love I worked years ago in a bookstore in college, and I just would love to get some art books, you know, and put together vision boards and ideas.
Vision boards.
And you can't do that enough, where you immerse yourself in what it is that you want to create. And you're not copying ideas from other people, but certainly you're not reinventing the wheel either. So there's definitely something, out there that kind of is a combination of you like this and you want to pull a thread of that and bring it all together. So you have to do your research and you have to spend time on that. And you have to be not afraid to miss out on things that might be going on in your life so that you can devote the time to get those things done, because they don't just materialize, without you doing some research. Nowadays it's a lot easier because everything's on your computer. And then once you put your plan into motion, you have to do some work raising money. There's no doubt that raising money is a big part of it. So it behooves you to know a little bit about that concept. There are grants, there are loans, there are investors, there's family. You have to learn how to paper the deal, so to speak, between your landlord and your investors and your bank. Here we had a construction loan, lots of moving parts. And you have to learn a little bit about that, because it's not good enough really to just let other people do that for you. So you have to do a little bit of investigating, talk to people. There are probably a lot of women you can reach out to that have done things, and you can ask for their advice. And then once you have the plan in motion, don't give up, because there will be hurdles, there will be dark days, and you're wondering, why didn't I just go to law school or something? Like, why don't I just work at, Neiman Marcus? Wouldn't that be a better career path? Surround yourself with beautiful fashion. But, if you put your mind to something, I believe that you can achieve the goal if you just apply yourself 150%. What do I say? What is my tagline? I mean, we always say what Marchesa says, we want to be a living work of art. I've often said, it's funny what Joan Rivers used to say. She would say, I'm a simple girl with a dream. And anyone that knows the Joan Rivers story knew that she amassed quite a fortune and lived in a home that looked kind of like Versailles, which is kind of like my home feeling. I love that little petite Trianon feeling. But the most recent quote I've been thinking about is Iris Apfel, who just turned 100. She's a woman who's had many careers and done a lot of wonderful things. And she says, more is more and less is a bore. And I think that's a fun, for me, I'm not a minimalist kind of person. I like more is really how I feel. But even if you're building a very wonderful Scandinavian business and you want something that's very streamlined, you still have to have that theme and kind of bring it to the end of the line and take it home all the way. The silverware, the glassware, the lights, the dishes, everything kind of plays a part when you put into this kind of concept. And whatever it is that you're dreaming of doing, there's a way that you can bring all of those moving pieces and make one wonderful souffle of whatever it is that you're doing,
I know. Well,
Yeah.
my motto is, and I think it applies to all women entrepreneurs, is never surrender.
There you go.
There we go. There
Don't
we go.
wave the white flag.
No, never surrender. I don't care how dark the day is. Never put up the white flag.
That's right.
I feel that way
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Very
And one of
true.
my favorites is, if it's to be, it's up to me.
Oh,
Great.
I
See?
like that.
If I had only known that a couple of years ago, I would have had a much easier time building this place.
I love
That's a good
those.
one. If
I
it's to
love
be, it's up
those.
to me. Yeah.
This has been so much fun, and you've inspired me.
Absolutely.
My next
So
book series.
That's
No,
wonderful.
Never Surrender reminded
Never
me of that.
surrender.
We all need to be reminded sometimes that, dreams, it's great. You must dream, but you must take action too.
Yes.
Dreaming is not enough. Like wishing is not a career path. It's
No.
not a career strategy.
No.
So you gotta make it happen. So
That's true.
listen to this fabulous entrepreneur, Never Surrender. We are so thank you for joining us today for this wonderful time with Kathryn. And don't forget to check out our blog every Wednesday and on Thursday.
On Thursday, we'll be uploading new videos. So like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you all.
Ciao.
Good night.